With these corporate issuers, what we've seen a lot of is we've seen where that multiple of NAV starts getting to like 2-3 times. We'll see them issue equity, and we've seen them use that as a means to buy Bitcoin. But what we have yet to see is that multiple drop below one, and see if they actually start selling their Bitcoin to buy equity. Does that to you seem like there's a risk of a larger unwind if that starts happening? Because it potentially creates the cascade where one company has to do it, and then the price of Bitcoin starts going down, and now all the companies have to do it. Is that possible?
Yeah, I think it very much is. And that's the risk, and that's where you get a little bit more of the risk outside Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is a big, fairly liquid market where you do start getting more of it's just it's a concentrated risk in a smaller asset class, or a smaller asset. So from that standpoint, I would say there's a risk in all of them of that, and I think you're going to see bouts of that. I think to think you're not going to see that at some extent is probably a little bit misguided. It's a market like any other. It's not, Bitcoin only goes up, right? Maybe on a long
Yeah.
enough time frame it does, because the dollar just goes down. So from that standpoint, it kind of does. But I would say in interim periods, especially as it relates to like a public company, there's going to be difficulties where yeah, there's probably going to be a public company at some point that needs to sell Bitcoin, right? So I do think that it has the potential of a cascading effect, and there's steps you can take to mitigate it through derivative markets, and also like a lot of these issuances are far dated too,
Yeah.
2028, 2030. So it kind of staves it off for a bit. And if you're early on it, right, like I would say most folks probably think Bitcoin by 2030 is going to be higher than it is today, and you're probably right. So, I think from that standpoint that the risk gets a little bit diminished because you just push it out further. But, if you're kind of doing it at the top of the market, and they're doing terms that aren't as attractive as some of the stuff micro strategy has been able to do, it gets a little bit more difficult.